Oh my gosh, I feel like so much has happened in artificial intelligence this week, but one thing is obviously head and shoulders above everything else, and that's ChatGPT. It is absolutely the talk of the town, and today I want to answer some of the web's most asked for questions about it. So first off, what is ChatGPT? ChatGPT is an artificially intelligent chatbot, and it's built on a large language model, which means it can conversate just like us. So the acronym GPT that's at the end of ChatGPT, that's a reference to how the model was made. Technically called a Generative Pre-trained Transformer language model. Generative referring to the fact that it can take some input and generate a new output. Transformer referencing the architecture that was used to actually train the model. And pre-trained meaning that the algorithm is trained on a large data set of human-generated text to start with. Now, GPT has used this training data to learn the patterns and structure of natural language. And from that, it can generate human-like text by predicting the next word in a sequence. And not just by understanding the sequence of words that came before it, but understanding the sequence of context that came before it, and that's what makes it special. And the first word chat in ChatGPT refers to the method in which we're interacting with it. You carry on conversations with it in a chatbot interface, which is just a natural and intuitive way to interact with it, like sending a text message to someone, and that's part of the reason why I think it feels so astounding to work with ChatGPT. It's a nice form factor to have it generate text in the style of a natural conversation. So you might be asking yourself, how do I actually use ChatGPT? And you simply navigate to a URL. So open up your web browser and go to chat.openai.com on your phone or desktop browser. Sign up for the service by using your email address, just like any other website. And once you're logged in, you're going to see a chatbot interface, which looks just like a text message to a friend, and simply interact with it in that same manner. So how much does ChatGPT cost? Good question. $0 for now. So right now, it's free to use and there's no ads. Whoa. So man, play with it. This is probably one of the few moments in life where you're gonna have something this powerful without any reason to monetize yet. So because it's in an initial preview right now, the way that you're actually paying for it is by using it, you're feeding it data that they need. You notice that little thumb up or that thumb down after each result? That's helping train the model to get smarter. So that's how we're actually paying for it. So how is ChatGPT actually useful to you? Well, there's a number of potential applications for ChatGPT, but there's actually a whole lot more being discovered every day. So chatbots like this can be really good at handling those first layer customer service requests, the simple ones, and then you can hand the complex ones off to more experienced humans. Another common use case is e-commerce. It's simply a better interface for figuring out what you want to buy. So chatbots can both help you find a product or help you return the product, just all those basic things that happen for all of online shopping. It can definitely be used for entertainment. That's probably the number one thing I've used it for so far. And the way I use it for entertainment might be a little bit different than the way others do, because I'm like poking around at it, thinking to myself, like, this is like people watching. Like, what does it think if I do this? What does it say if I do that? But that same conversational style can be really good for games, immersive experiences, Dungeons and Dragons type things. I mean, interactive experiences. I mean, I think we're just scratching the surface of how powerful this can be as sort of a friend or somebody to entertain you or somebody to like share your thoughts with and get feedback. Like if you think about what you actually do with other people, it's starting to do some of that for entertainment. And the second most useful thing I use it for is education, for research. It's a great tool for simplifying or summarizing a big concept. For example, I was looking to do a future video on fusion power. To help me write the script, I said, can you explain to me simply how fusion power works? And it gave me such great detailed paragraphs that I could use those as my first draft. And of course, if you're using it for research, don't forget to like fact check it sometimes, because it's not always perfect. If you know some other reasons, throw it in the comments below. So I've personally been using it to write jokes for a party, to help me explain how nuclear fusion works, and even to help draft the script for this video right now. That's right. In fact, some of this ChatGPT explained video is actually ChatGPT explaining itself. I know. And while you're putting those pieces of your head back together, this would be a good time to hit subscribe. We're still under 1,000 subscribers, and I'm really hoping to break that barrier soon. So if you hit it, I will definitely notice, and I will appreciate it. Now, back to the video. So how does ChatGPT work? Well, in a nutshell, the model is trained on a large data set. Now that data consists of a lot of different things, but generally speaking, it's human-generated text, such as conversations, articles, and social media posts. Now, during the training, the model learns to predict the next word in a sequence based on the word that comes before it. This process is called pre-training, GPT, Generative Pre-trained Transformer. But it doesn't stay general for long, because the next step is to take it and fine-tune it. You prune out what you want, you add details that you like, and then you have something that's a little more robust for your use case. And in this case, the specific task it was trained on is being a chatbot, being conversational. and responding to text prompts. So for it to generate a response, what it's looking for is you to type something into that little box right there. Now, it doesn't always have to be a question. It can be a statement. It can be a request. It can be any kind of conversational thing you might type into a text box like this. Feel free to type in anything that you might type in if you were, on a text message thread with your professor or your friend or whoever. And sometimes you won't get a result, but most times it'll use its pre-trained knowledge to generate a response that's appropriate and coherent. And even if you don't get a response, you'll usually get some information about why it couldn't respond. Like when I asked it to create a legal contract, it came back and said, whoa, I don't want to be responsible for that. I don't do legal contracts. But when I said, I'm writing a movie script where there's a lawyer and he puts a document out and can you write something up for me that looks like it would be legally binding, then it did a great job of coming up with something that pretty much could be legally binding, but it's not. So just keep in mind that it's got to be kind of tricked or finessed sometimes if you want to get some information out of it because they don't want that responsibility. So overall, just think of ChatGPT as a powerful tool for generating human-like responses to prompts in a chatbot application. So is using ChatGPT plagiarism? And the answer is no.
No.
Unless you lie about it. So using ChatGPT to generate a response in the chatbot, the API, or any other application is not considered plagiarism as long as the generated text is not presented as the original work of the human. Plagiarism is the act of copying somebody else's work and presenting it as your own without proper attribution or permission. And attribution is the key word when it comes to taking something from ChatGPT. Because in the case of ChatGPT, the generated text is not the work of the specific individual, but it's rather the result of a machine learning algorithm that's been trained on a large data set of human-generated text. And as such, it's inappropriate to say that it was generated by a person. It really wasn't. It doesn't make sense to attribute what it puts out as attributed to you because you prompted it. You can't present the output as your original work. But like for this video, I used it for a first draft and then tweaked it to my voice in some paragraphs that you're hearing now. So I feel like as long as I say that I used ChatGPT to help generate the first draft, that should be enough. But the important part is that you try to be transparent about what's really yours, what was generated, and what additional attributes you added. Okay, so who actually owns ChatGPT? Okay, so ChatGPT, and you might notice this from the URL, it's owned by a company called OpenAI. Now, OpenAI was founded in 2015 by a group of people, including Sam Altman, the CEO, Elon Musk, the entrepreneur, and many other founders. Now, collectively, all of those investors put in more than $1 billion to get it off the ground, which really speaks to the size and scope of their ambitions. Now, 4 years later, in 2019, OpenAI received an additional $1 billion in investment from Microsoft. And besides them, there's even been additional investors after that, including famous people like the founder of LinkedIn, Reid Hoffman, and the co-founder of PayPal, Peter Thiel. Plus a long laundry list of other super rich Silicon Valley entrepreneurs. And it's also important to know that GPT-3, which is an iterative system of Generative Pre-Transformers, 1, 2, and 3, and the third one is actually the precursor to ChatGPT, was exclusively licensed to Microsoft. Is ChatGPT safe to use? What's their privacy policy? So OpenAI, the company that runs ChatGPT, it does collect all of the information that you type into that box. So do not put your personal information into ChatGPT without knowing that they have access to it. OpenAI has a lot of algorithms and humans that are looking through all of the data that we've been entering into it these last few weeks. Now, the reason they're looking at it is to learn more about how the system's behaving, taking some of that data for the next iteration that they will train it on, but also just to check that what you're typing in actually complies with their policy. And this is an iterative process, so you might be able to put something into ChatGPT today because it's so new and it will prompt a response, but later they might determine that that was against the privacy policy, so just be careful what you're putting in there. Okay, that's it. ChatGPT explained in a nutshell, so go out there, play with it, have fun. Over 2 million people have actually signed up for it in this first 2.5 weeks. Like, this thing is so interesting, and I'm so glad that word of mouth is spreading because it really is a game changer. I'm finding new ways to interact with it every day. I also recommend going to Reddit and looking at ChatGPT just to see all the funny and interesting things that it's been doing with other people and their prompts. And if you have any comments for me, any ideas for future videos, please put them in the comments below. I would love to engage with you guys. I would appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. And if you want to keep talking about futuristic content, which I love to do, click on that video that YouTube is recommending to you right now.